Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Hi, my name is Michael Gammon I'm from the NLP group here in MSR, and it's my pleasure today to introduce Professor Bing Liu from the University of Illinois at Chicago. And I've known Bing for a long time. I actually don't remember now how long we go back, but Bing has done a lot of work on web mining, and specifically on reviews, including aspect detection, product aspect detection, sentiment detection. And he was also, as far as I can tell, really the first person to start research on fake reviews and the problem of review spam. And you might actually even have seen some public media attention to that problem. And it's obviously a big one because we just talked about it. It can really affect a small company tremendously. And so this is what Bing is going to be talking about. And this is part of a book that just came out on sentiment and opinion mining, which is sort of an overview of the field.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So this problem is getting pretty bad now. And the previous it was not as bad, but in recent years there are some sort of companies which is called the reputation management companies. They start to do this and writing things on the web. And so it's this has been, the opinion on the social media has been useful for quite a while. Even many years ago, so not really many years, about three years ago, there were already some sort of marketing company did surveys on how many people, what percentage of people when they buy something or when they use some services, they get, do they read reviews? Okay. And I think about 3-4 years ago was about 75%, and now it's getting a lot bigger, okay, a lot bigger. And also people using reviews is also, the people analysis the companies doing analysis of reviews is also increased quite dramatically. And they also in terms of opinions in other kind of forums and Twitter and blogs. And I think McKinsey did some survey a few years ago. I think it was also about 3 years ago. They said the US has about 30 to 60 companies working on that. And this May, somebody else did a survey. They said now there's about 350 companies are doing something related to this, to get opinions from reviews, from blogs, from Twitter. So we use this thing for decision making and for purchasing, and also when you do elections, and also of course for marketing and branding. And afterwards, you want to sort of, after you've seen this thing, you want to do some sort of actions. And, so this gives people very, very strong incentive to do something to try to promote their products, okay, products or services. And this is basically becomes a business itself also. Okay. Previously it was mostly individuals who write it. And the recent few years, and the people in the company, they get middlemen in India write it, and now even in US, lots of small companies, reputation management company are doing this, writing the fake reviews. And what do we say? We started this particular research in 2005, 2006 time frame. Actually, it was related to a project with Microsoft at the beginning. What we were trying to do at Microsoft at that time was try to figure out the people from different websites. Are they the same guy or not the same guy? So, and we did some surveys on the name. What kind of name do you use on different websites? And then later on, we were more interested in getting into this particular topic of detecting what we call opinion spam. And so then we first start was the opinions in the reviews and how to detect the fake reviews. Okay, so there's lots of people who write these fake reviews, and we call it opinion spam, and it's essentially to try to write undeserving positive reviews and to promote those products, and also to write unfair, even malicious sort of negative reviews to target some products and try to demote them. And what we said also, it's become a business in recent years, and also customers are getting wary about this thing, and then lots of things are being reported on the web. Okay, and there was lots of reports. Okay, this is just a subset of those, and this is the one which is very interesting. This is my website. I compiled quite a few of these links. The first one is Amazon glitch unmasked wall of reviewers. That was in 2004. What happens was the Amazon of Canada made a mistake with the system, and then they released the real name of the reviewers. And then they discover all the book authors write for themselves, even those very famous ones. And when they were confronted, the reporter goes to talk to them, they say, oh, everybody does it. And then they also have one woman, she was the writer, and she was even complaining her friends. And one of the friends, she asked her friends and family to write it. One friend only write, oh, this is a great book. She said, what kind of friend is this? Only write a single line for my book. So that was the sort of very early report. And then later on, early this year, and that was the second one was one of the companies selling a product on Amazon. They give the customer for free. And if you write a positive review, and this is the small sort of cost about $10, some kind of things. And so you can see the $2 for a star. Okay, if you get this for, so suddenly you can see the sudden burst of reviews from the customers. But of course, this thing has been done quite a long time ago, and has been going on especially by hotels. They give you a little bit discount and ask you to write something positive. And then another one was published recently. The person who wrote this fake reviews, and he talked to New York Times. Okay, New York Times. And then that's another one. So now it becomes interesting. The Google Places. Google Places has lots of fake reviews. So this particular person, this one. What happens? This reporter went to do an investigation about something he feel fishy, and then this is being done by some sort of reputation management company, and then he go to look, and his sort of surrounding areas businesses, and he find out around 60 of them actually using this particular service. It's quite a lot of them doing this, and this one is also very interesting. This is for ABC 7 News in Colorado somewhere, and so she also find a company who is writing a lot of reviews about a few sort of small businesses. And lots of people only doing this few businesses. And so this too, when you have reputation company to reputation management company to write fake reviews for you, they're fairly easy to detect. Actually, we'll talk about some algorithms which can detect this type of situation. Then these are some of the services you can find on the web. There are lots of them. If you search for things there, you'll find lots of companies who do it for you. Okay. Some are expensive, some are much cheaper. There are also people put up some interesting sort of clues to allow individual users to figure out something whether it's fake or not fake. Okay, but it is really hard. We tried some experiment with the students, and that was very, very difficult. It's almost impossible to figure out. Okay. And what we did was we asked students to write some fake reviews which are on the products you're familiar with, and then write fake reviews you have never used that product before, you know nothing about that product. So for this part, it's relatively easy to detect. For the products, if you know about it, it's almost impossible to detect because it's very, very hard. Because it's very hard to detect. Then also this is a sock puppets, and what happens is one person you register for multiple. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question about that the experiment.
All right.
So the students who knew about the product. So like how fake they could. But did you ask? Did you give them some formula as to how they might want to fake the review?
Yeah, I did.
Like
I think I
errors or some kind of some feature they didn't like that they said they liked. I mean, it's that kind of thing.
I did not give them any further instruction except to say, you just try to write it, sounds like real. That's the only thing I said.
But if they knew about the product, right?
Yeah.
And then, it could be their own opinion, right? How can you decide?
No. What I'm saying is you know that category of product. For example, cameras. Yeah, you're not the products,
Okay.
not your own review about real products. Right. Yes. Okay. That category, and for example, cameras, they do video games, that kind of thing. So they can write pretty real stuff, right? And also government are doing this too. And China is very bad. I've been talking to some companies which has hosting reviews, and they said, if you don't remove these guys, the review is completely useless. They said probably 50% of them are fake. Quite bad. Quite bad. So this was somebody put on the web, and Balkan International, and ask the people on the web to write reviews for them. Okay, so use your best possible grammar and write in U.S. English, and always give 100% rating with as high as possible. Keep your entry between not too long, and this is the real one. Okay, this is the real one that was caught. Okay, it was caught by somebody. So who write this fake reviews? Okay, write fake reviews. So business owner does quite a lot. Okay, that's quite a lot. Restaurant owners and book authors, the songwriters, and these two are particularly bad. Okay, these two are particularly bad. The book authors. Now it becomes everybody can publish a book. If you pay some money, you can publish a book. So what they're going to do? I mean, they have to promote the stuff, and also the small bands. They have some songs and the musics, and then they have to promote it. Restaurant owner also quite a bit, but now also the business in other type of small business, they also do it. Just now I was talking to Michael, and a few weeks ago, a dentist sent us an email, which is in North Carolina and Charlotte. And what happens is he has 3 practices. Okay, 3 practices. He's the owner of the 3 practices, and one of the shop has one guy, and he got a negative review. Okay, and then this person who contact us, he was the owner. He go to talk to that person. Okay, confront the person. So what's going on? Okay, how can you get something which is so bad? Did you treat the patient very badly? So they got very angry with each other. And then a few days later, then his other 2 practices got a very nasty negative review. His practice has been there for long, has no review at all. And then suddenly 2 very nasty reviews showed up. And then he was very angry. He was like, wow, he must be from that guy. And then what happens, we go to do a little investigation then we also find out these 2 reviews were written with 2 different IDs. Okay, 2 different IDs. And they were all written in the same day, exactly the same day. And this 2 person also wrote another review on that same day. And both of those reviews are about food. One is about cookie, another one is about cracker or something like that. So it's very interesting. It looks like these 2 must be the same guy. Yeah, and also the writing style was pretty good, and the writing was very nasty. And say this doctor who and they charge him, he has really nothing to do. He's just going to wash your teeth or something, and then charged him a few $1,000, asked him to do something else. And the carpet was full of coffee or something. Wow, it was very bad. And so this dentist got very upset. He contacted Yelp and do all kind of things, try to get it removed and say this must be from the same person. But Yelp didn't do anything. Okay, didn't do anything. And then we were talking about this thing, and a few days later, then suddenly a few positive reviews show up. Now, positive review, basically the negative reviews were still there, and then suddenly a few positive reviews show up. Before that, there was no review at all. So my guess is this positive review probably from himself or from his friends. Okay. And you can see the positive review, at least 2 of them was so obvious, and so formal writing. So Dr. So and so, full name, and he has been very caring, treated us very well. So very, very interesting. And anyway, so this becomes, so now I really don't know who is telling the truth. I mean, this dentist himself, with the first review was written by him or by somebody else. He doesn't like that doctor or something like that. What is going on? Okay, so which is very interesting. Anyway, and so this is the case, and also some other cases. Yeah.
Have you looked at app marketplace data, for example, iPhone or Android or Windows Phone?
Yeah, we look at the apps.
Okay, and
Yeah.
are these the major categories in the apps as well, like restaurant, book
Yeah.
authors, or?
Yeah, but this is just some of them. So, but
Okay.
many of them are written by the person who actually wrote those apps.
Yeah, but what are the categories? Is it like more focused on the entertainment category, or is it like productivity where we see a lot of fake reviews, or it's all over the place across all the categories we see similar amount of fake reviews?
Yeah, we look at many categories. It's fairly similar. The only thing probably those are very big companies, and they are pretty reputable companies. They tend to have a little bit less. But it doesn't seem to be very true, because we thought that was the case. Okay, but we investigate the Yelp, and there are lots of very reputable restaurants, and they have lots of reviews. They have lots of fakes as well. So what happens is they want to maintain kind of a steady state. So make sure some people always, there's some review going on. Not just say, oh, the last review was 2 years ago. I mean, what's happening this 2 years? Nobody come to the restaurant or something. So they also do fakes as well. Okay, and and another case was something where students find out was in Apple apps. I think there was one Chinese guy who wrote a bunch of apps. Every time he wrote an app, there will be 5 reviews says good. 5. Every one was exactly the same 5 guys. Says this is the good app, all 5 stars. And so we also talked to Google. Google has this Android apps. They also try to do something, but they haven't done anything yet. Yeah. Okay. So the freelance individuals and the middlemen and even customer, you get discounted to write this fake reviews. And there's also quite a number of random people who are just writing for fun. For example, I saw a lot of good reviews. Oh, I'm going to write a bad one. So there are some guys like that. Yeah. So this one was one of the review. You can take a look whether you think this is fake or not fake. Okay. This was written by my students in my class. They're all American students. I'm an undergraduate student.
That's fake because the student doesn't go to Royal Caribbean. No, that is just a joke.
Wait, huh? You think so? Like, what do you think?
I think it's a fake. It's all very kind of abstract. Doesn't say anything specific, but it says it was really good. People are nice, and kind of everything's
Okay.
described in kind of generic terms.
What about this one?
It's real.
This one's real? Which one's real?
I'm still skeptical.
You got it wrong. The previous was real. This is fake. Completely fake. What about this one? This one was I got from the internet. I was trying to show people show students some reviews. I opened up this price grabber, and I sort of somehow get this page, and then I saw this review. Is it fake or not fake?
It's real.
Yeah.
Sounds like fake, right? I don't know whether it's fake or not. This sounds like fake, right? This guy seems to notice this shop too well, right? I don't know. This one I don't know, but this two I do know better. This is because it was written by a student. And and he went to Royal Caribbean. That was true. she went with the family. Okay, and she said this restaurant was not far from her home, but it's expensive. She's never been there. She knows this restaurant, and he really looked like real. I would think this is more like to be real, right? Because he said something, however, I'm not the one for clubbing and drinking, so the night was pretty slow for me because there was not so much else I can do, right? I thought this sounds real, right? Is it? And this one more like to be fake. You didn't say anything bad about this place? Anyway, so it's very difficult. Okay? It's very difficult to really figure out whether. So that shows the difficulty for this particular problem. How do you detect them? The first problem is when you see it, you don't know it. You pretty much don't know it. Okay, and then which makes it very difficult to build models. If you want to build a model, you have nothing to evaluate it. Right? And also, this logically, if you think about this, logically, if you look at the contents, this is an impossible to solve problem, right? For example, I can say, I stay in this hotel, and I write this is a great hotel, and staying there, I have a real experience. But I write one for this, I put it for somebody else. So this review cannot be fake and truthful at the same time. Because the hotels, they're all similar, right? If I don't mention a particular location, I mean, everything is not much of a difference. Right? So in practice, if you think about this, logically, this is impossible to solve. Okay, impossible to solve this problem. However, you have to look at the behavior of the person who wrote this thing. Okay, So we studied this problem from 2006. We crawl pretty much at that time, if not all of the reviews from Amazon, but a big chunk of the reviews we crawled for about 2 months. I got 2.8 million reviews and 1 million products. Actually, Amazon has more products, but many of those products just change your color, and also when you have postcards, you change the color of postcard, change the image of postcard. So there's a lot of those things. But most of those postcards and type of things has no reviews, And the reviews all come with this product IDs and reviewer ID, rating, and dates. These are the standard things you've probably seen yourself. So this is an interesting plot of the reviewer, number of reviews, the review, and the reviewers. Okay. So there's a few reviewers have written a lot of review. Yes?
Did you also collect whether that person was an Amazon validated? It was an Amazon validated
Yes.
purchase?
Yeah. At that time, there was not so many. Now it's much more. Yes. And also, Amazon has Van Voice. And so Van Voice is basically their own reviewers. Because their own reviewers, when they have a new product, they can send to the person and test and write a review. Yeah. So there was one guy who actually wrote more than 15,000 reviews. But now, there are a few guys, more than 20,000 reviews. Yeah. We are trying to crawl it again of the Amazon. So we counted it sort of, this guy has to write 10 reviews a day since the day one Amazon started the business, on average. Okay, and his review all about books. And this is the products. So it's again the power law. I mean, some products got a very small number of products got lots of reviews. Okay, and on average, at that time we computed the average was less than 1. The number of products. Okay. And of course, we have lots of tiny products. We did not count into the 1.2 million things. The 1.2 million things are the product which has reviews. And anyway, so this is an interesting graph. So what is the distribution of different review stars? You can see it's almost 60% are 5 stars. Almost 60% are 5 stars. And then there's 20% 4 stars. So if you consider these two positive reviews, it's almost 80% are positive reviews, which is a little bit strange because people normally don't do that. Yeah. You don't, when you are reasonably happy, you're probably not going to write it. It's only when you're really unhappy. I mean, for example, myself, I wrote only one review in my life, and I was very unhappy with a cell phone. It was quite a long time ago. So this is something very fishy. Okay, very fishy. Why this is happening? Why this is happening? And so we did some study on this, and then what happens is there's a few types of fake reviews. The first type are the fake ones. A few type of what we call spam reviews. There are also quite a number of reviews which just give the brand some idea, sort of saying, oh, I don't like HP because I never bought anything from them. I never bought anything from them. So this kind of review, I also think it is probably very biased. And then this is the non-reviews. There's a few types. Non-reviews say this is an advertisement and some just random text. Random text. And these two are fairly easy to detect. And you can do some analysis on using the product descriptions and together with different kind of information. It's fairly easy to detect these two types. But this one, here I can't even give you an example. Okay, what is the fake review?
Did you also get purchase data, like what person? Was there any discrepancy in terms of like people did not purchase on Amazon but wrote a review on Amazon?
At that time, Amazon was, I think, 95% of them are like that. Everybody can write it.
Did they actually purchase on Amazon?
No, they did not buy. Did not buy anything. No, you don't know. They might have bought it, but they don't really have to give exactly say, I bought this thing.
No, but also you did not receive any additional data from Amazon that this person bought this product?
No, that information actually is on the web.
Okay.
Verified, it was called Amazon Verified Purchase. You can see it. But it's a very small proportion, very, very tiny proportion. Okay. Yeah. So here is trying to do something like, what are the reviews which is very harmful? Okay, what is review from harmful? So this is, for example, we have some way to figure out the good quality products and bad quality products and the average quality products. And then you can see positive and negative reviews. And this, if you are good products, if you write a positive review, it's not so bad. Okay. But this happens also. Okay, it's not so bad. And also, if you are bad review and somebody write a negative review, it's not so harmful. Okay, it's not so harmful. But this few are pretty harmful. Okay, pretty harmful. So this is essentially one of the clues people normally use to try to say what is the sort of deviation of your review with the other guys. Okay, and so in terms of detection, this will be the focus as well. Try to detect this type of. So there are now, or even before, there are two type of reviewers, and so there's many individual guys who just write himself, and for example, restaurant owners and this type of people, and they don't really work with anybody, and so there are also group spammers. Okay, group spammers, which are especially when you have a small business or when you have a person who write using multiple user IDs. Okay, multiple user IDs. So this is the reputation management company are doing quite a bit of things like this over here, and this is getting a little bit more popular than that particular situation. Sorry. Okay, so the type of data you can use in this domain. The first thing is the actual review contents. Okay, actual review contents, and this includes the title and the text. Okay, the text review text, and the metadata, or somebody call it site data or whatever kind of things, which is you have the ID, you have the star rating. Okay, this is not text, and time when the review was posted, and so I also put the public and public. Those are the public data, which you can see, everybody can see. And there's also some are private data, which basically are internal data, which is the website they collect. And for example, IP address, the MAC address, and also cookie information. And they also can, from those information, they can somehow figure out the geolocation for you write, or where the location you come from. And those are all sort of private information. And the sequence of clicks. This will becomes the web, sort of web usage mining domain. And so I I talked to some of this company, they do this, they detect this thing. They said this is very useful, actually, very useful in the sense, for example, if somebody write a review, come directly to that product, which is very likely to be fake, because some people, the company who advertising the service, advertising, they sort of put up a request. They want people to write fake reviews. They would just say, "Oh, anybody want to write some fake review, write some positive review for us, and here's the link. We'll give you something." So many people who actually write fake reviews, they just directly click that link, then go there. Oh, they directly post. Those things are fairly likely to be fake. And another thing is a very interesting thing is when people write reviews, especially the owners write reviews, you will see this guy keep monitoring that page, come to that page all the time. And then one day he adds something positive. And then you know, no, this is not quite right. Okay, if you are not the owner of this restaurant, if you are not, then you are unlikely to come to this restaurant all the time, not go anywhere else, which is very interesting. So they can use this thing to detect. All this information are pretty much very useful. For example, another one interesting information will be if you have a hotel, right? All the reviews seems to be all come from the surrounding area. Then that's not quite right, right? You are not, local guys are not going to stay in a hotel and just for any reason. Okay. And there are also text clues, but those are very difficult to determine. For example, I also heard from one company that this guy and who wrote many reviews, and one time said, "Oh, my wife loved this product," and another few days later, "Oh, my husband loved this product." Okay, so it's something fishy, but those are not that easy to detect in terms of the text. Okay, in terms of text, you need deep text analysis. Okay, text analysis. Okay. And also, there's quite a bit of information on the private and public information about products. Okay, products. So product descriptions you can use when the guy is writing something related, and then also when the product was sold. Okay, when the product was sold, which is pretty useful as well. And the sales volume and sales rank, especially the sales volume. Okay, sales volume. And if you can see, for example, Amazon can do this thing very easily. If you see, I saw this product, review comes in, and what's happening? Okay, what's happening? Also sales volumes. And normally you have a reasonable idea of distribution, or sort of proportion of people who might write reviews. And suddenly this products, there's more than that. Okay, more than that. But the bad thing is, although this company can do a lot of work, can do lots of things to detect it, but they don't do it. They pretty much don't do it. Amazon is not doing much unless they were caught by so for example, New York Times, those things, they find out this thing, they tell Amazon, go to remove it. The reason is this 5-star reviews is good for them. Yeah. It's help you to sell products. If you go to their website, you say, oh, this got no review, no, not going to buy it, right? If you see some negative, forget about it. Okay. If you see something good, wow, that's probably something reasonable. Okay, some of the reasonable products. So these retailers, they're not doing much. Okay, they're not doing much. We also have the reviewer information. You have the profile, and but in many cases they're not really so trustworthy. They're not trustworthy. But this can be public and also some private. For example, Amazon has lots of private information. For example, your credit card, whatever. All this information, if you have purchased before also. And of course the review he wrote, where you can analyze the string of reviews he's been writing and what kind of products he wrote and the services he wrote. Okay. So the first work we were trying to do that was, at the beginning, was really hard. We really couldn't figure out how to do this thing, how to do this thing. And then I asked one of my master students to say, why don't you just go back and see whether you can manually find something. Okay, manually find something, and then we can use that stuff. At least if you can manually find something, let's just spend some time to find some more. Okay, and then we'll use that for training at least to get some information. Then just second day, he come back to me, oh, yes, I found many. Okay, I find many. What happens is he finds all those reviews are very near duplicates. A little bit of a change. Okay, a little bit of a change. then he find me quite a number of them. You can see the guy change a little bit at the back, at the end, or in a few words in the beginning, or a few words at the sort of in the middle somewhere, a little bit. And then, we said that may be interesting. We could do this automatically, right? You can find out. You can just have an algorithm to doing the comparison, and then we can see a lot of things like this. And then we find out a lot of interesting things. For example, some products actually, the same guy wrote about 7, 8 reviews about the same product, same camera. And what on earth? Why do you want to do that? Everything is all positive. If you say, if you think few weeks later or a few months later, you feel this camera is no longer as I thought at the beginning, you can actually go back to change your reviews. There's no point to write so many of them, and they're all positive, they're all good, okay? And so this is very interesting, and then we did this study. We did not consider this one because the same user ID, same product, especially written in the same day. So you might be possible you click on the same thing, the submit button multiple times, they could submit in the same day. So those are not really reliable, okay, not reliable. And there's another one which is not quite reliable is Amazon copy reviews, which means not exactly copy reviews. They can sort of get different kind of products sharing the same review. For example, you have a pair of shoes, but this is the blue color, that one is the red color, so they sort of sharing reviews. Okay. So you need to remove those things. Okay. Those are fairly easy to remove because they have the review ID. Okay, the review ID, the same ID. Okay, same ID. And then we use this. We got a few thousands of them. We only work on the one category of products, which is manufactured kind of products, and then quite a few thousand of these things. And then we use that to be our training data and test data. Okay, training and test data. And we use logistic regression to build a model. And so what are the features we use? Review-centric features are just essentially the n-grams, so those text n-grams, and the rating, we use the ratings as well. And then there's also reviewer. I think we only use up to by gram, okay, by gram probably. And the reviewer-centric features, there'll be a review about the reviewer. There's some different sort of unusual behaviors. For example, the person wrote many reviews which are the first review of that product, which is phishing, okay, which is some phishing. So there's a bunch of these things. And the products.
How do you consider the group spam?
Group spam?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, later. The group spam now gets very bad because of this small business and the reputation management companies doing this, and then they have to do group spam. Okay, the group spam. So these are sort of, we're looking at the reviews. Okay, we're not looking at the people yet. Okay, not look at the reviewers yet. And this was, then we did a classification, and we get this AUC 78% on the predicting of the fakes on the on this duplicates, near duplicates kind of reviews, and which is reasonable. It's not easy. Okay, this is obviously a very difficult problem. It's not.
50-50 split in the...
No. We did was roughly. I don't remember what was the case. It was we did roughly the. I remember it was roughly the distribution followed the natural distribution. Yeah, because we know because in this particular case you cannot do 50-50. 50 just not reliable. Okay. For example, people doing 50-50, but if you make it the natural distribution, for example, the proportion of this is only about 10% or 15%, 20%. If you do 50-50 accuracy, everything is so high, but if you go to low, then they're going to drop dramatically. Okay, drop dramatically. Yeah, and so since we're data miners, we have been doing this thing, or we do roughly in the natural distribution, and so of course. It's also interesting to say, is it reasonable to do this, to treat the duplicates as spam reviews? Is that reasonable? Okay. We thought it was probably reasonable because he's doing something reasonably okay. Okay, it's not that bad. Okay, not that bad. Okay. Then we did, after we got this result, then we analyzed some other type of reviews. Okay, some other type of reviews. So negative outliers. So essentially, those guys write very negative reviews. they tend to be heavily spammed. Okay, they tend to be heavily spammed. And those reviews that are only reviews of the products are also likely to be spammed. Okay, this one is obvious. The first one is not so obvious. It's not so obvious. I would have thought probably the positive review are more likely to be spammed. Because from my experience, I talk to my students. For example, I have lots of students from India, and they do it. Okay, they write it. So last year I got 2 students, and who said they've done before. No, he didn't. They didn't say themselves. The one guy said himself. The other guy says my friends. I know. So I'm not sure. And this year, in the first class, I asked, has anybody done it? 2 raised up the hand. Have you done reviews right for the website? They said themselves they did it. And then 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I asked them again, hey, no more hands. Nobody's raising up the hands anymore. The first time when I asked, there was 2 persons raised up the hand. Okay. And then they know I was doing that kind of research. They probably, don't want to get into this. And also the spam reviews can get quite good help for feedbacks. Okay, if you write quite carefully, you can get fairly good feedbacks. My students, knitting with the students, he wrote a camera review. It was completely fake. And he got he wrote it very nicely. He wrote, every detailed stuff, but he never used that product. I got lots of good feedbacks. It's completely fake. Completely fake. So which basically means this helpfulness or not helpful is not very useful. Okay. And also, if you do web spam, and this can be fake yourself, right? This can be fake too. Okay, this can be fake as well. So so we don't really know whether this is true, okay, because we have no way to actually get the ground truth, and just we depend on this one is doing something. So then we try to test another review, we think that might be the case. Okay, might be the case. So there's a few more. We draw some chart to show this is the situation. So in the supervised techniques, and people have been doing, and this another groups recently have been doing. This one was from Cornell people. They were using Mechanical Turk to write fake reviews, and but it turns out we did some analysis on this thing. It turns out it's not really the true fake. Okay, not the true fake. Okay, not true fake. And this group, they labeled this. They used the opinions to label it. They pretty much the same idea to do this, but this one is much simpler. Just use bigram. Okay, just bigram, nothing else. Just bigram. And this one used the bigram and the opinion sentiments and every kind of piece of information, and they label themselves. They use the opinions data. Opinion have those trust and the comments, everything. They got a bunch of guys reading this thing, and sort of think that probably is fake. I mean, nobody knows exactly. Okay, nobody knows exactly. So these are supervised techniques, and then there's also many unsupervised techniques. Okay, many unsupervised techniques, and this one was essentially we're trying to go behind the scene, right, to see what's the behavior of this person. Okay, what is the behavior of this person, and also what's the behavior of the reviews. Okay, what the behavior of the reviews, and so somehow we try to uncover, is there any interesting secrets in the way he behaved? It's strangely, and the first one, and this is basically 2 we published 2010, and then we stopped this research. Actually, in the 2009 or whatever, we didn't really do much because we found it was really, really hard. It was really hard. And every time when we submit the paper, they're always the same comments. How do you know this is fake? And are you sure you're doing it correctly? Are you, how do you know this? I would get very, very upset, get sort of very disappointed, always. Okay. And then we sort of stopped this research. And then I was in Singapore. I gave a talk on this particular topic, and then this person was doing something about research paper ranking. Not research paper ranking, to analyze the reviews of research paper reviews. So they have been doing kind of saying, I want to just try that on the product review because it's the same rating, all those type of things. Not much of difference. Okay, much of difference, and. So if you're looking at the behaviors, then you don't really have to look at the contents. Okay, don't look at the text. And then we come up with a few things and do this thing. And then my students also, we work on something else. I'll give you a little bit of introduction. So the key idea is try to uncover and to identify some unusual behavior patterns. Okay, could be reviewers, could be reviews. Okay, reviews. And the thing we're doing is to try to find out unexpected rules. So this is basically a data mining type of thing. And so at that time, the first one was this particular paper was talking about targeting. So we try to say the products, they are either spam or not spammed. Okay, so you're targeting some specific products, and then also you could be targeting a group of products. For example, a particular brand of products. So this brand is getting people to fake. Okay, getting people to fake, and also rating deviations. And since this is the same type of problem when you do rating in the review of papers. Okay, how do you figure out the rating deviation? And also early rating deviation. People try to write things right at the beginning, and then this review, the rating gets lower and lower later on. Okay, so now this is actually true. What happens? My current student, he's from India, and he said that his friend is doing this. Okay, his friend is working for in India, working for a code of reputation kind of company, and he was in charge of this product. What does that mean is, no matter what, you got to make this positive. Okay, this product, either you write it or you watch other people write it. You have to make sure this is positive. So normally he will start with something and then he will watch. Somebody wrote a negative. Let me make it up. So he started to write, and he can create quite a few accounts to do this. Okay, do this type of thing. So this is the true, and because I verify this is the students, they said his friends doing that. He said that he didn't do it because he said it's too troublesome, because he got to watch this thing all the time, over a period of time, and it's not that interesting. And so then this bunch of scores, you can do different combination, linear combination, all this. You can do it and finally do a ranking. You can do a ranking on this. You can sort of rank these reviews. Then we build a user interface to let the user to do an evaluation. Okay? Again, we have no ground truth. Okay, just let the user to do an evaluation, give different kind of features, and let people to see it. Okay, and this was completely data mining. Okay, this was complete data mining in the sense we're trying to find the interesting patterns. Okay, interesting patterns. So we create a database. Okay, create a database. So this database consists of a reviewer ID, the brand ID. So Amazon actually have the brand, and also product ID, individual product under the brand. And then there's also a class. So it looks like a classification. Okay? It looks like a classification kind of database. And then this is the class will be positive, negative. So 4 or 5 stars will be positive, and 3 and below will be negative. Okay, will be negative. And then we try to find what is called the class association rules. I mean, my previous life was doing mostly on the data mining, kind of rule mining. Okay, try to figure out the algorithm, do rule mining. So this is what we call the class association rule. Not exactly the class for classification purpose, but to try to find all the rules. So classification is only find a subset of the things which is just for the purpose of classification. If it's classification, that's good enough. But this type of algorithm is trying to find all of them. Okay, all the rules. So for example, you say reviewer 1, brand 1 is positive. So this is what we call the class association rules. It's kind of association rules. Association rules. Then how do we know something is expected or unexpected? Then we have to do some sort of definition. Okay, atypical behaviors. For example, I just give you some example. And if you're interested in the paper, there was some quite a bit of things that was defined. For example, in this case, a reviewer wrote all positive reviews on products of a brand, but all negative reviews on a competing brand, for example. All right. So you can see when you have one condition, this reviewer equals to 1, then it goes positive. The confidence essentially is the conditional probability. Giving reviewer 1, what is the probability of his positive review? And this is in data mining, people call it confidence, okay? And 60%, okay, 60%. Then, when you extend this, one more condition, okay, one more condition, and then you got 100%, for example. Then this is phishing, okay, something is phishing. But how do you find this thing? Okay, and it turns out this you can define probabilistically. Okay, you can define it probabilistically, and for example, in this particular case, we can do this and use entropy. Okay, you can use entropy, and when you can compute the entropy of this particular thing, and also compute the entropy when you have multiple brands, which is essentially just like if you know the decision tree, just like a decision tree branching out into two brands. Okay, you can compute entropy on those on extra attributes. Okay, extra attributes. Then you can see the entropy is changing dramatically, so you can get some sort of information gain. To find out there's something strange about this. Okay. And then you can also analyze further. For example, these two brands, actually other people don't think they're great, but why this guy give them so high? Okay. And this is the entropy. And another one you can use is we call it confidence unexpectedness. And for example, you can see the reviewer one, brand one is positive, okay, and then the support was actually the joint probability, because the joint probability of something happens what is the proportion? For example, you have database. What is the proportion of those data records that contain everything, contain all three of them, okay, all three of them. So the condition and the consequent all contained. But in this case, then you can define fairly easily probabilistically. Basically, how do you do that? Is just given, I don't really have it here, but given you have one condition rules, okay, and then you can define, you have one condition rules, of course you have the joint and also the conditional probability. And what happens if you say these two things has nothing to do with each other, they're not related, because they're completely independent. You assume the condition independence, and then you can compute what happens if they together if they are really not related. Okay, and then this will be the formula to compute that. Okay, assume the condition of the independence, which is right, because we assume this thing has nothing to do with each other. They're sort of independent, and then you can compute when they are not independent, right? This is essentially to try to compute how much they're not independent. And then you can see things like, so this is just one of the thing. You can find out many reviews which are not supposed to be, probably not really correct, not right, okay, not right. And you can also define support unexpectedness. So what happens is this one, I'm using a different measure. Reviewer one, product one, positive. There's 5 of them, 5 positive reviews. So this one was discovered automatically. So it was very interesting. We find this. It was like, how come the same guy writing many reviews on the same product? Okay, on the same product. And then you can go to look at it, and so the guy basically changed a little bit, and then put quite a few reviews on the same thing. Again, you can define this also probabilistically. Okay, you can define. I don't really have it here, but you can define this probabilistically, and then then you can also define what is unexpected. Okay, what is unexpected. And this this can be quite flexible, because this is nothing. It's not something we come up with manually ourselves, and it's completely defined and mined from the data. You can also find out brand of product relationship, right? Brand, all kind of relationship you can discover, and you can define all this type of what is unexpected, what is expected. Okay. And then we also do some evaluation manually, okay, manual evaluation on this thing. We also did something on the detecting using the graph, okay, using the graph, and then you need some sort of relational model to model this thing. And this is a different type of reviews. This is the rating. This is the resellerratings.com. This is the shop reviews, okay, and the store reviews. So store reviews is a little bit different from the product reviews. For example, you buy a camera, you probably should only write one reviews about that camera, but store reviews, you could write multiple. For example, I've been there a few times, and can I say, no, every time my experience is different. Okay, every time it's different. So to crawl the whole thing, and why we did this was at that time that Google was interested in this thing. Okay, interesting. So Google probably was working with these companies, and they were interested in this particular site. Okay. And then we crawled the whole thing, and I get my class, data mining class, to do this. Okay. Then they found, wow, that some guy wrote 30, 40 reviews within half an hour. Anyway, so but that was easy to detect. Then we represent this as a review graph. Okay, review graph in the sense you can have three types of nodes. It's a heterogeneous graph, and they have the reviewers, and they have reviews. You have stores. Okay, so in a heterogeneous graph, then use this graph to capture the relationship. Okay, capture the relationship of this three type of entities. Okay, three type of entities, and what are the things? What are the concepts? We define a few concepts. So the trustworthiness of reviewers, and the honesty of review, and the reliability of stores, and then you can see all these things are related to each other. Okay, so relate to each other. For example, a reviewer is more trustworthy if he or she has written more honest reviews. Okay, honest reviews. So this is the typo. A store is more reliable if it has more positive review from trustworthy reviewers. Okay, trustworthy reviewers, and the review is more honest if it is supported by many other honest reviews. Okay, honest reviews. So you can see this is somewhat like sort of PageRank, all those kind of things. Okay, PageRank or his algorithm, sort of related, and then you can model them in a relational way, okay, relational manner, and we use this logistic function. Just try to make sure when you reach somewhere, then you should sort of stabilize. Okay, should stabilize your value, and so then you can. This one is about honesty, and all these things are related. This one is the reliability. You can see there's a relational things going on here, and then later, and then you can run this you can run this with power iteration. Right? You can iterate many sort of iterations, and then you get something sort of stabilized. So in this particular evaluation, we try to compare with the Better Business Bureau. So the U.S. has a Better Business Bureau. You can see this, what happens there and what happens in our rankings. Okay, and fairly consistent. Okay, you can see fairly consistent. If the Better Business think this is a good review, good guy, and then we'll sort of give them a fairly good too. Okay. Then the students also try to go through the web and search for this particular company and see people trust this company or not. So here is how do we detect the groups? Okay, group detection. And group detection is actually easier. It's much easier. Individual ones, the pattern is not so obvious. But when you do things in terms of groups, your pattern becomes fairly obvious. Okay, fairly obvious. All right. And so previously we tried to manually label individual reviews, whether they're fake or not, which was very, very difficult. But if you try to label groups, it's relatively easy. Okay, relatively easy, because they're collective behaviors. Okay, they're collective behaviors. Right. And so in this case, it was a group of people working in collusion. Right, they write to promote some product or demote some products, and such spams can be quite damaging. Actually, quite damaging, and they can take total control. And in this case, we have the algorithm which has 3 steps. Okay, 3 steps, and the frequent pattern. Let me see whether okay. And the first one was try to find frequent pattern, because you can see whether the same bunch of guys has been reviewing multiple products. Okay, multiple products. So that's fairly easy to detect from using the frequent pattern. And then some of them are just a coincidence. For example, Apple products, there might be a bunch of guys who all review this thing, but it's probably okay. They are very popular products. Okay, popular products. And then you have a set of features, and which is essentially indicators or the clues. Okay, clues. And then later on, we'll also use the relational model to rank this. Okay. In this case, we have a bunch of guys to actually label the data. Okay, label the data, because in this case, it was not that difficult to label. And this was a real story from ABC I mentioned to you. And what happens is the ABC, then one of the reporters discover a chain of positive endorsement from a group of 6 metro area businesses, ranging from auto care to this. And we find, this is from ABC, 50 Google user accounts only post reviews about the same businesses. Okay. So they behave like a groups. They have to post sort of multiple products, the same guy put multiple. And this is exactly fit for this group detection. Okay, exactly group detection. And let me see. And another one, which is I mentioned a little bit earlier, was also the case. And you can see this is the thing. One of the things we discovered. You can see this is about 3 different softwares. Okay, and this is a person called Big John. Big John. This is the real. Okay, this is from. You can see the guy give 3 products. This guy only reviewed these 3 products at that time. Right? You can see all 5 stars. The dates: December 4th, December 4th, December 4th. Okay, the same day. This particular person. And you see the second one. December 8th, December 8th, December 8th. Okay, again the same product. All right, and you can see another guy. And this is December 4th also, exactly the same product. Those 3 guys, actually there was another guy, four of them. Okay, 4 of them. They review at that time only these 3 products. If you look at the contents, they are very different. Kind of very different. But this kind of behavior, if you do data mining, it's fairly easy to detect, to find it. Okay, to find it. The only problem, of course, when you do frequent pattern mining, you need to have reasonably high support, which has caused some trouble. Because now we have, when we did this analysis, it was only for the manufactured products, which is 100,000 type of reviews a long time ago. Now we crossed again a few millions now. Then you got to make this support very high. Otherwise you can't find it, which is not good. And because you know this association of frequent pattern mining grows exponentially. Yeah, the number of patterns grows exponentially. Well, I also try to deal with that problem. And then there's another problem. We were talking to companies. So some companies try to implement this algorithm. What happens is, they said, oh, this is probably, it's okay, you can do this periodically. Right? For example, in a few weeks or in a few, you can do this once. But is it possible to do this online? When this guy wrote it, submitted, I know this is not good. Which is the problem? Because this kind of algorithm cannot run like that. Okay, you cannot run it online sort of purpose. Okay. So one of the companies, I think in the DC area, and they were saying, how do you do this in an online kind of situation? Okay. So this was fairly simple to do, and for frequent pattern mining, what it says is for each product, you get all the user IDs, all the review IDs. And for every product you have user IDs, you get a transaction, what do we call the transactions, and then you can mine this transaction to find out the bunch of guys who sort of review a few products the same, not necessarily at the same time, but all of them review this thing. And then you can also have a few, for example, the clues to further filter it, further filter it. This is the group time window. So when the bunch of guys they're probably doing the similar time frame, and the group deviation, are they similar? Are they some sort of review rating similar? And the content similarity, are they some sort of similar? And also the member content similarity, for example, the same guy in across different things, are they similar? And also the early time frame, and then this type of thing, so we can see. And then we can, again, we can build models, relational models of how the groups relate to individual products and the members and the products and the group and the members, especially the group and member, because the group and the member are related, right? If your group is bad, of course, I mean, member probably bad or member bad, and then you can, again, you can do, you can define this mathematically, sort of still heuristic kind of way to define it, although you can, and then end up to be manipulating matrices, okay, matrices, and then try to compute a final ranking, okay, final ranking, and then you can do evaluation. This particular evaluation we did manual labeling, okay, manual labeling by a bunch of guys, okay, a bunch of guys, and you can do this thing fairly accurately, So that's roughly what we've been doing, and my research mainly was focusing on sentiment analysis, but just because was involved with Microsoft, and also when I sometimes give talks on this particular issue, that people always ask, "Are you sure you do the sentiment analysis? Are you sure this guys are trustworthy or not?" So okay, let me do something, see whether we can get some, try to catch some of these people, and now it becomes very. If you have seen the news, there's quite a bit of interest in the public. And next few weeks, well, also some reporters still want to talk about this issue. They are still not over with this thing yet. Still quite interested in this. We haven't moved into the other type of social media. For example, you go to Twitter, there are also a lot of people doing this. Okay. And then the current method still fairly simple. Okay, fairly simple. And we have not really focused a lot of time on this in the sense where we got very, very disappointed in the first few years. And whatever we submit and always give us back something not very good. Always have a comments about evaluation. And how can you be sure? Okay, be sure. So even for the WW paper we got this year, was submit three times. Every time was, then my students said, okay, I'm going to label it. So he went to label it, then got accepted. He got eight of his friends going to label it. Okay. And it turns out the groups are much easier to label because the behavior is so obvious. Okay, behavior is so obvious. And then, so that was basically the same. If you're interested, you can look at it. We have a chapter to talk about this thing and sort of a survey. There's some more, but now there's quite a few people, quite a number of people are working on this now. And this is going to be a problem forever. And it's going to be sort of, what is it called? You do something right, now the guy also do something. Okay. It's an arms race, right? It's an arms race, whether you can. But this has to be dealt with in some sense. I've been working with, not working, but I'm talking to people in China and here. They're all doing it. But all these are not the retailers. I have not seen a single retailer is doing this. Okay. Because it's actually good for them to have this thing. And also some other company, for example, American Express is trying to do this too. What they're trying to do is quite interesting. They try to do this in the sense they want to verify your purchase. So you have a credit card, right? So they have the credit card information. So you purchase something, you wrote something on Amazon, but you bought from the Best Buy, they will figure it out. Yeah. So they talk to me, they try to work with Yelp. Yelp said, oh no, we're not interested in working with you. And so they are now, they got a retailer. They said, they didn't tell me which one. And then they also work together with other credit card issuers. I said, if you just do it yourself, it's probably not good enough. You got to work with other issuers or credit cards, so to verify you whether you purchased something somewhere, okay, somewhere about this particular product. Yeah. Okay, and that's roughly about it. Yeah.
It's a very interesting talk. And then you talked a lot about kind of difficulties of detecting those fake reviews and fake reviews, right? Have you thought about sort of looking at sort of legitimate reviews and how to
Sorry, say again.
so detect rather than detecting sort of fake reviews, trying to detect legitimate reviews like good reviewers and good reviews.
Yeah, there's some sentiment analysis researchers doing of the quality or the utility of the reviews. You can rank those things too, and but the problem with those also the guy who is really writing it well, you don't know. They can write all the product features, give very nice comments, and so this is.
Also look at this legitimate reviewers' behaviors, like the way that you looked at these fake reviewers' behaviors.
Right. Yeah. We did some analysis, especially if you read this paper of this paper, because we have this labeled data this time. We labeled data, so then we can analyze the behaviors, whether this kind of things, whether this kind of feature does somehow separate people, separate groups. Yeah, we did some analysis on that. And individuals, we couldn't do it because you have no good data for that.
And then, do you have any idea of how to sort of raise the bar so that
the people,
it's going to be more sort of economically challenging or harder for these fake reviews to game the system?
Yeah. Now
so the verified purchasing is one thing, right?
Yeah. That's one major thing. Another thing is, if you think about it, I personally think this thing can be done if the company doing it themselves, because what we are doing here is complete public information. If you think about this private information, I think it's doable. At least you can catch quite a bit of those. For example, Yelp is doing that. But Yelp is not doing a great job in the sense, they're doing quite a good job, actually, quite a good job. But there's still lots of fake are there. For example, I just give you example, the dentist situation, very clear that fake, but Yelp did not filter this. But Yelp did filter out filter out two of them. The first review, and as I said, the first review was somebody wrote a negative about this particular sort of doctor in one of his 3 shops. That got removed, filtered. This dentist told us, how come that thing is gone? He said the first thing he saw it, and then a few days later it disappeared. He thought this guy must sort of talk to Yelp or whatever, pay money to Yelp or whatever to get it removed. Okay, and I don't think so. And but then there's another very positive review. I believe this dentist he wrote himself got filtered also. But there's a few more that's still there. So the job is doing.
So do these positive reviews really make impact in longer term? Because let's say there are positive fake reviews and people actually believe in that and then try the product. But after a while, a lot of people are just going to figure out that these are not good products. So eventually the product is going to not have that.
But the thing is lots of people don't bother to write. And also the product may not be that great, may not be that bad. So you probably don't go there and, I'm going to say something. I'm very unhappy, unless it's really bad.
Okay. So it's more about local businesses?
Yes. For example, the Google Places now is a big place. People fake quite a lot, yeah.
Other question that I have is more about the technique and statistics about that. So you have both individual and group spammers. So where did you find, what is the split between those two? Like if you just use individual spam identification technique, what percentage of the fake reviews are you able to identify through individual versus group, and what is the overlap between those two?
The individual ones we don't know. We really have no idea.
No.
We're just doing something, whether we just did some evaluation, top 100 or something like that. We can't go below because it's very difficult to figure out. So because we do manual evaluation. The group ones, that's a very clear features. You think you probably.
My question basically was, if you have identified a set of fake reviews, what percent of them were coming from individual versus the group, and what was the overlap between those two techniques?
We have not done that kind of analysis.
Okay.
That'll be interesting too. Yeah. And the people ask me to estimate what, for example, the New York Times, the people ask me to estimate what a percentage of review are fake. That was a difficult question, very difficult. I tell them 30%. Why? I have a reason. Okay, I have a reason. If you go to look at the Yelp, they filter out about 15%. They're about 15%. I have a good reason. I have seen a lot of fake reviews. I know they're fake. Yelp did not filter them. They'll still stay. So I give them, probably. I told them I can't really do this so accurately. But recently, Gartner or something have one report. It said by 2014 they'll be going about 15%. So a lot of people saying that's underestimate. It's a very underestimate because somebody says because they have estimated. They said fake reviews and also the fake clicks and the fake friends and fake followers, things like that. And so one of the guy who wrote the comment says they have been doing this. What he experienced, he said his experience is 90% are fake, especially the followers. And also those followers are all created. So they will try to sell, they will try to do something, then they will look at the followers. All those followers have nothing to do with my business. There's only said they got a lot of followers, but only, he believes 90% of them are not right.
Since you talked about click fraud, do you have any statistics in what is the overlap between the people who do click fraud versus the review fraud? Like click fraud on the ads specifically, like Google ads.
Right. We don't really know that. Yeah. So there's lots of interesting research need to be done actually in this area, and the way when we use the external information, we're always handicapped very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.